What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Boardroom podcast, where we help you stay calm, change lives, and have business on your terms. Now, I have got three incredible guests here with me. I met them recently, and I've just been so blown away by just how, one, professional they are, the comprehensiveness of like the solutions that they offer business owners. I'm like, where have you guys been? Why didn't I meet you guys like a year ago? And then just the fact that they're just overall really great people and exceptional at what they do. I like connecting with people who are, one, good at what they do, have strong moral foundation, and then three, they're people that I can, if we meet up at a bar, we'd have a good time.
That's right.
Right. So we have Issa, we have Joe, and we have Jonah here. These guys run a company called Iconic Solution and approve my funding. So how'd you guys come about forming this dynamic trio of just absolute savages?
Let me fill you in. So me and Issa were partners. We've been partners for many years. We met in university, and we started what we thought was a whole new revolutionary thing back, I don't know, many years ago. We didn't even have a name for it. I think now they call it an outsourced sales agency, right? So we were doing that years and years ago, and one of our clients was this Mr. Jonah here. Him and his partner, they had a business. I don't remember. If you want, you could probably ask him what revenue they were doing a month. They brought us on our team, and we quickly helped scale him. Issa could probably get the numbers because he's got that photographic memory. But I'll tell you, what happened in that time was Issa was messaging me like, this guy Jonah, man, when we talk about things we need, assets, things created, or the websites or the CRMs, he's doing it on the fly. He does it on himself. He is that guy. That's how I met Jonah before I met Jonah. So Jonah was one of our clients. Him and his partner was one of our clients. Does that sound about right, Issa or Jonah?
Started as a client, nailed it out, and then became a partner and is joining you guys on this venture. So what do you guys do now? How would you describe some of the things that you guys do? Because the way I kind of describe it is like you're a bit of a Swiss Army knife, but it's not like a generalist. It's like you guys have highly skilled people that specialize in different core aspects of somebody's business. They're able to kind of meet them where they're at. But the thing that was most fascinated by is like your sales, your kind of like a partner or sales program. I want you to kind of describe how you guys do what you do on the sales side.
As the previous clients of the two gentlemen and then coming on as a partner with them, the best way to explain this is Iconic Solutions is a growth partnership, right? So we come in and we basically cover whatever the weakness is of somebody's business. It's kind of the easiest way to explain it. And so if somebody loves coaching or consulting and they love working with clients, but like ads, marketing, sales, tech, ops, whatever is that like dreaded, I don't want us to go anywhere near that. We now have, there's multiple partners in Iconic Solutions that all bring their genius on. So we're able to put together a solution that kind of fits whatever we're like the yin and yang, whatever you're not, we can be. And we're good at it because we have people that are geniuses at that in this circle. And so we're able to just plug in only what you need. And then as we scale, we tend to break things, right? So we scale up the ad that eventually you're scaling up ads a lot, then something breaks, then you get too many calls, then you need more sales reps, and you get too many sales reps, need a sales manager. Well, then what happens is now you got too many clients coming in and onboarding breaks. Then you fix onboarding and now the client fulfillment breaks. So we're like excited to break stuff in a strategic, linear way. This is the best way to explain it.
Yeah. So on that side, you're coming in as effectively a growth partner and filling in the gaps, if you would, right? So you're finding what are the gaps within their current business. And typically 9 out of 10 times, what would you say like the biggest gap, like where's the biggest leak that you're coming in and filling if you're working with a client?
Well, I think one that could get us closer to that, to answering that is when we begin with any new potential partners, we need to get to know them or their business really, really well. So we go through a pretty tough interview process. It feels a little bit more than it is fun. It's more like an interrogation. We really need to know their business, their data. And so that kind of answers my question. I think a lot of small businesses, even medium businesses or large businesses, surprisingly, they don't know their data. They don't know their numbers as well as you would think they are. By that, I mean conversion rates from different points of, leads that turn into appointments, how many of those showed, what marketing channel did they come from? A lot of these things they don't know. And we really need to know these things. We're going to ask these questions because we need to create that priority list or the to-do list, and we need to prioritize based on our experience, what's the most important thing that we need to get our hands on. And if somebody's inflating some numbers here, or in our heyday we were doing this, or if anybody inflates that, we kind of think, okay, that's already under control. That one's doing reasonable based on our expertise in this space. We know those numbers are actually fairly good. We need to go focus here first, then here, then here. And as we go and lift, I guess, peel back behind the curtain, that may or may not be right. And I think, so to answer your question, maybe I just answered it. It's the biggest struggle is clients might not know what they don't know, I guess, because they're not tracking a lot of the data. I think business owners, they just get in and start rolling up their sleeves and fixing whatever they have, and they're firefighting, right? It's like the next thing, but they're not necessarily building SOPs and best practices and things that people can come behind them and follow and inspect and measure.
Yeah, so it's like the clarity of data is like the biggest thing, whereas like if they don't have clear data, then it's hard to ultimately diagnose what needs to be fixed until you start peeling back the curtains and then realizing there's a lot of dead bodies in this in this operations that we need to clean out.
Right. And we're not trying to embarrass as much as we're trying to help, because if you ask somebody, okay, where all this revenue that came in this month, what marketing channel or what specific ad? You might have seen someone with 40 different ads or 3 different ads. Like, where did they come from? I don't know. We don't really know. And so we just keep spending the equal amounts always on all of these ads. And that's kind of a hard way to operate a business, especially if we're responsible to get in there and help you scale appropriately.
Okay. So essentially, if you can get clarity of data, get that fixed first, then you really begin the process of really discovering what are the actual bottlenecks in the business? What are the things that we need to address? And then from there, you start thinking through, all right, who do we need or who's best suited to do what that can come in and fix this leak, if you say.
So it's almost like a puzzle piece where like we look at the puzzle of how it's been built already. And the more transparent somebody is about how the pieces are already laid out, we can actually make the perfect puzzle piece that just lays right in there. And so I think what's unique about 𝐏𝐿𝐴𝐻 Solutions is that most people, most entrepreneurs, myself included, I'm sure you as well, Iggy, is when you have a challenge in your business or an opportunity for growth, you look for the specific solution out there, and you got to interview people, ask for referrals, go out and take a risk, and all these things that we have to do for every single problem in the business. That's $5,000, that's $9,000, that's $15,000, that's $8,000, that's $2,000 a month. That can eat at the profit margins. But what we figured out is, well, if we've already laid out the exact proven system to achieve 7 figures or go from 7 figures to 8 figures, we can just hand guide somebody through the journey based on where we know they are, even if they think they know where they are, or like, you really need to put this in first before we scale, because you scale and then you try to deal with this, that's going to be a complete nightmare. So a lot of it's like, we're like the puzzle piece that the more accurate we can get that feel for, we can layer in the correct order based on our experiences scaling companies of what needs to be put in first, second, third, fourth. So instead of you having to go put $15,000, $10,000, $10,000, it's like, wait, you actually just need this right now. And we're going to just guide you as, in this growth partnership sort of relationship where your success is our success. There's a lot of accountability. And then because we're in an invested interest, we're like, we don't want to just go blow a bunch of money over there that we don't need to do that. Or we don't want to like get distracted yet either, because we're on the same page of like, let's drive revenue and drive profits. So
that makes sense. So at different stages of, what would you say each of your superpowers are? Like, where are you typically coming in this journey, right? So like Issa, for example, where is your strength coming in? At which stage are you like coming in to like, all right, Jonah, Joe, you guys step aside. I'm coming in I'm going to get my hands dirty. Time for me to operate. Like, where is that for you?
Yeah, well, with 𝐿𝐼conic Solutions, like, yes, each one of us has his own talent, his own area. We always begin by taking a deep dive into the sales assets that we get from our client. We do like depth in studying all the materials, sales assets, website links, landing pages, and we make sure we are finding all the imperfection, and we focus our attention on what needs to be fixed before we even begin to start staffing and training and taking the offer to go live. If you're asking me, like, what is my main thing here with Iconic Solutions? Well, it's kind of like me and Joe, we share almost the same type of a strategic approach to making an offer become successful by our talent. We have top shelf salespeople that we have access to, and we know how to look at the offer details and assets and dig deeper to find all the things we want to fix. And meanwhile, we have our tech genius right here, who always helps us by fixing all the things that needs to be fixed with technology before we can begin staffing training, like I said before. So it gets always to be where we have our passion. My passion is mainly just, like taking an offer from 0 to 100 and making sure that we always pay attention to the culture of the client, because at that point, we will know how exactly, like what type of a talent has to be a part of this offer to actually sell the offer to the customer we want to sell it to. So it's always going to begin by just making sure we take things apart, assemble it back in, and fix things before we even begin taking it to the next level.
Yeah. So I almost kind of describe that almost like the general manager of like a professional team, where you're kind of thinking through, how do I assemble the pieces to build this championship roster, right? So you're coming in and you're looking at, all right, what's the culture of this team? What are the different plays that they're running? Who are the people that are involved? And what are going to be like the most complementary pieces that we can kind of put in to turn this into a championship roster? And each team is going to be different, right? So there's going to be some people there that you may not have on another team simply because of how they're wired. So you want to make sure you surround them with the right pieces in order to get the most out of that organization.
100%.
Right.
Yep.
Then it sounds like, Jonah, you're coming in once they kind of understand how they're going to structure the team, or what like the high level roster needs to look like you're really coming in almost like the head coach and implementing the plays with the players, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's a good analogy. I think for me, what I see from just even in my perspective, being a client and coming in and working with them, is Joe and Issa have been responsible for placing or managing over 1,000 sales reps. My resume is like 75. So I'm cute compared to what these two have done, right? So I've helped clients, maybe do about 10 million. They've done like 100 million, so I'm like the mini version of them. But I think where I get to support is I understand enough of what they're doing big picture, so that I can build a foundation when we come into a company. I actually know enough about ads, marketing, sales, service, scaling, fulfillment, even the legal and finance side. Not that we give legal advice, obviously, but I'm just saying that you know how to make a company not vulnerable when you start bringing in a lot of clients. So I think I know a little bit about everything, and successfully have built a couple 7-figure businesses through my own, individually coming into this with that experience. So when they're like, oh yeah, we take 7-figure companies to 8 figures, I'm like, cool, I know how to get to 7 figures. You guys know how to get to 8. So this is cool. We can now serve the whole world, basically, And Joe and Issa know how to exit companies as well. So we really can sit down with an owner and be like, well, what is your point here? Like, do you want massive impact? Or do you want to build a consulting program that you can eventually just sort of be the face of the company and maybe exit one day? So we really kind of cater to, so I guess back to your point of, I mostly do a lot of the technical and SOP side, but I've also done a lot of professional speaking. I've spoken at NASDAQ, Stock Exchange, so I know how to be on camera. So I know, like, when I'm building tech, I know the sales guy. I've been a sales rep. I've done 1,200 high-ticket sales calls myself. So, I know the sales game. I know the marketing and ads game. I know the media game, and I know the tech game. So I kind of just chameleon myself as to wherever we need to, support a business. And then I'm able to, we obviously can staff the talent, match the culture, match the experience to plug and play. But that's kind of how I see it from my perspective here at Iconic.
Yeah, that makes sense. So when you guys are talking about kind of coming in as a growth partner, you really are coming in as like a true growth partner and filling in the gaps with the entrepreneur. Now, on the sales side, I think the clarity of data and even like the lack of proper systems really create a bottleneck for businesses. But the other side of it, I think what you and Joe do, Issa, on the sales talent is oftentimes one of the hardest hurdles and the hardest like skill set or the skill gaps that entrepreneurs face when they're trying to build a sales team, right? You have some entrepreneurs that can just brute force their way to 7 figures, even multiple 7 figures, right? And then once you start getting in there, they just create a very high paying, high stress job for themselves with no leverage. So when you started building out like sales teams, what are just like some best practices? Do you have like a framework that you follow? Do you have principles that you adhere to when you're thinking about constructing a sales team? Like, what are your thought process in doing that?
The funny thing is, like, I'm speaking about like what I have like right now. It's I have access to a massive network of extremely professional sales guys, and we've been on the same team, let's say, for years now, almost 15 years. I have access to all of this talent, and the good thing is, like, the culture we built in Iconic Solutions and in our previous company, it's a loving culture. It's all about, we're a family. It's not a business. We look at it as a family, and this is why it's become a very successful business. Anytime we had a company in the past, and we decided to build a new company, my guys immediately, they always say, I'd like to be a part of this new company as well. And this is one of the, I would call it one of the powers we have within Iconic Solutions. People would love to be with us. They'd love to be a part of the team, and they know our main goal is, yes, to be the best growth partner to our client. But at the same time, we have one thing in mind. We always want to serve the customer of the clients. We always have that in mind. We don't show up to any calls showing our customers any signs of, I'm here to sell you something. No, I'm here to listen to you. I'm here to absorb and pay attention to what your needs are. And if we find this to be a mutual fit, I'm going to take care of you all the way to the end line. And I'm going to support you along the journey until we make you successful. Why? Because we can. Why we can? Because we do not partner with any client. We actually pick and choose our clients that we want to work with, depending on the service they offer. We've had many different clients show up to Iconic Solutions, and we've had internal meetings talking about what value can their offer provide to the customer. If we don't find the value that serves the mission of Iconic Solutions, we skip it and we wait for the next client to show up. And they all show up because we have a name in the industry, and this name has been around for years now, and it's going to be always that way until the end.
Yeah, I like that. So essentially for you, you're thinking through, first, you got a pool of talent that you want to be able to protect. And so you have a level of integrity that you want to operate with, which is really one of the big reasons why I think we hit it off so quickly. But you want to make sure the people that you're working with are actually good at what they do. What a novel idea. Like, there's just not enough people out there who actually even care if the clients that they're trying to help are any good at what they do. They just care if their credit card clears at the end of the month, right? For you, how do you guys go about finding if the person that you want to work with and partner with, if they're actually good at what they do? What's just some of your due diligence look like on the back end?
Yeah, just to clarify, Iggy, this is what do we audit in a potential client as in growth partner? Is that what you're?
Yep.
It's interesting. And Iggy, we spoke about this at a previous chat together of like, what is the ideal avatar we'd like to, come into? Because we're, as I mentioned, and I shouldn't say this because it's like one of our little secrets, we're kind of a ride or die partner, meaning like if something goes to the fan, we're going in the fan with you. And so I don't want to say that publicly because then we attract people that are about to go into the fan, and we don't want to, but I'm just saying, like, that's our mentality. It's like you just spoke it into existence. But anyways, so that's our mentality, right? So we know that if we're coming in to partner with somebody, we're attaching our boat. So we just like to make sure, like to Issa's point, that we look at like the culture, the value of the offer. What are they really doing this for? Is it just to make a buck? What is there a backstory that, when you were 7 years old, it happened to you, and now you're, breaking people through transformation. So we look at a little bit of the mission, I think, is a big part of it. I think people may see us and be like, oh, it's just a bunch of like go guys. It's like, no, there's women on the team. We've got women's sales teams. We've scaled women's empowerment companies. So we kind of just play we're the secret. Like nobody really knows kind of who's behind the curtain that's pulling up levers for people. And like when someone's like, we never heard of you guys. Yeah, of course. Cause like, we're not going to go around like saying our clients' names and be like, oh, look how cool we are. We got this person to a lot of people actually know some of the people that, you know, Joe and Issa, especially over the years, have scaled to like the iconic was like, hey, if you want to become an icon in your industry, not out of ego, but out of impact, then that's, you know, who we're looking for. But because of our background, I think we could probably help somebody. It's kind of like, as long as somebody has a proven offer, meaning they've sold a few, they've got a couple of testimonials, they've maybe got a little bit of working capital, because, you know, if we're going to scale ads, you know, we need to have a little bit of capital there. So there's a little bit of, you know, but we just had a gentleman reach out to us recently who's like, hey, you know, I've got a successful company, but I'm tied up with that, but I want to launch this. So I don't have time, but I've got some working capital from over here. Can you guys build this whole thing from scratch for me? It takes a few months. I don't even care. It's like, oh, we could start from scratch. But we don't like to, but we can't. So we'd like the sweet spot of, you know, maybe Issa and Joe can attest to this, but it's kind of like the $50K a month to $250K a month. You got 1 or 2, 3 salespeople. You obviously got something going, but it's, you know, it's a lot of things to do and a lot of things not dialed in yet. And you're like, hey, I want to go to 8 figures.
They're like that early stage of exploding and breaking through that ceiling, right?
At the same time, I think we're pretty good. Many times we'll get a call from a really large, successful marketing agency, and their client needs a favor. They know they'll call us and say, hey, these guys have this event. Can you fill it up for them? Right? So we'll jump in. They already have a sales team, or oftentimes a client might already have a sales team. So we'll either take over that sales team. They're already doing well over $250 a month, or we'll run a parallel sales team. That's not always the best. We don't love doing that. But the clients, you know, if they're pretty clear on their vision on what they want and why they want it, and they can communicate that to us, and I think we play ball. There's nothing wrong with healthy competition. Oftentimes we can lend a hand with the sales team that's already underway, right? That already has management. They're just looking, possibly they're even looking, I mean, right now it seems like a lot of people are looking to replace their current sales team. They've had the same team for years and they're just comfortable, I guess, or
it's hard, like keeping, and that's one of the things I wanted to even bring on. Like, you guys have been successfully growing sales teams and managing sales teams for years, right? And that is one of the most difficult things to do, is like sustain success with the sales team. How the heck are you guys doing that? You can't be successful for a season, but you get what I mean? Like, sustained success. How do you do that?
Sales takes the blame for everything. And I think we're pretty good at being responsible for everything, because if we're responsible for it, we know it's within our power to fix it. And so we're responsible if the numbers are going up or down or staying flat until we figure it out. Right. So I think we're pretty good at being accountable and being responsible, because sales, or nothing, feel like all your problems go away as long as you have sales, right? So sales make all your problems go away. And so we find ourselves in that position all the time. As long as we can increase sales, increase revenue, and a lot of those problems go away.
Yeah. But I mean, on the sales team management side, like, what does that development process look like? I know you've got access to a ton of talented salespeople, but what's your management style? How are you guys keeping them, making sure they're staying sharp? And
first of all, our motto is, so we've invested a lot of money into payroll software, a lot of money, because our motto is you have to pay your people on time, all the time, right? So that's a big one. So we pay on time. We feel like we work for all the sales rep or the project managers or the customer service reps that work with us, and we work for the customers, the owners, the business owners, right? We're kind of in the middle. So we work for everybody, and we have a lot of gratitude when people come and park, themselves or plant their flag with us, because they know if an offer is going to sunset after 1 or 2 years or something, somebody wants to take it in-house or somebody exits or wants to bring it in-house, they know that with us, we're going to put them into another offer. So I think our talent knows, okay, I don't need to go take a little bit extra money over here because appointments or leads are high right now. Well, because the long picture for the next decade, I know with these guys, if I perform with them, they can always keep me busy.
So you're essentially helping them keep food on the table and have consistency of opportunity, where if they're stuck tied to one particular offer, right, their risk profile is pretty big, because now they're dependent on that particular company to just keep their stuff together. And I've experienced firsthand when leadership changes within a company, like a lot of things can happen and it can go south very, very quickly. And then now all of a sudden, your best reps aren't able to eat the same way. So for you guys, you're able to essentially, for them, they stay loyal to you because you're like, hey, you work on good offers, but then at the same time, if they're performing, they're always going to have an abundance of opportunity to cure it.
I want to touch back on a point you said. How do you guys survive this difficult industry of managing sales teams and just making sure they're always producing the highest results? The one thing I'll drop here just within a minute is that it's always going to begin with the sales process. We do not resort to the traditional selling mechanisms. We have our own system. We design sales processes in very unique ways to help the customer become an informed customer before they make a decision to purchase. That's it. So we have a very unique sales process that we always invest into the offer to make sure that it's not dependent on the salesperson being the best sales guy in the world. The sales process takes almost 50% of that, effort to close a deal away from the sales guy. The second point I want to touch on, you've said, again, it's a very difficult industry. We understand that. And this is why we put so much love and time, and we do the best we can to make sure we always invest in people development. Every single salesperson on the team is being nurtured to become a manager at some point. And this is where we come in and we educate them and we help them understand the numbers in ways that can benefit them and the team they are managing. So this is where we actually have a very unique style of managing our assets, which are people who they are the people.
Yeah, that's awesome. And thank you for sharing that, because I think on that side, if one, taking the pressure off the salespeople by having a really good sales process. And I think that's something not enough people even think about, because you have control over the sales process. And if you build out a great sales process, you don't need your salesperson to come in and be an absolute savage 100% of the time, right? If you have really good sales process, you can actually get away with the salesperson maybe only being like 70% decent, because they're not trying to hard sell people. You have a process of developing customers into prospects, into customers. And that's really what a really good sales process does, is it takes a lead and actually develops them into a potential customer that will eventually want to do business with you. So what are the kind of different stages that you guys are thinking about when you're building out a really good sales process? And we're kind of close on time now. I'm going to have to bring you guys back to unpack a few more things. So I want to really dive into the sales, because I really think what you said was interesting. Building out a really good sales process, take the burden off having exceptional sales talent. You want exceptional sales talent, but you can't ultimately try and have the success of your business be dependent on the salespeople being just so world-class at sales if you can build a very good sales process. All right. So what are some core pillars of a good sales process you guys can?
I'd like to give you just a very simple answer, because the more I'm going to give out, the more I'm actually giving out some secrets of Iconic Solutions. So let me just summarize it in one sentence.
Okay.
I would say the best way to design a sales process, you have to keep in mind that you have to educate the consumer, you have to educate the customer on what they're buying. They have to understand it, and it has to come from your clients. For example, if you're selling an offer for somebody named Iggy can get involved in educating his customers on the product he's selling. That's one of our secrets, and we integrate it within the sales process in a way to make sure that the education, all the details they need to understand to feel good about investing in the service, it's coming from the man himself, from the person who's selling the offer to them. So we found many different ways to get that done, and we managed to make it seamless, and we managed to still have the highest results when it comes to making our customer an informed customer. That's mainly what it is.
I really love that process, or even that frame of building out a really good sales process to develop the customers and making sure that they're actually informed at the point of sale, right? So your salespeople aren't there performing sales miracles and trying to turn water to wine by slinging deals, because by the time the person goes through your process and they show up, they're actually informed on the offer. They have an idea of the problem that they can solve, and they're really going into that sales call ready to make a purchasing decision. And I think that is an absolute powerful frame for anyone who's listening. I mean, a lot of people struggle with the fact that they have high no-show rates, right? And a high no-show rate simply just means you haven't done an adequate job of communicating the value of them even showing up. And then once the person does show up, of the few that end up showing up for their calls, they're sitting here wrestling with the person trying to get them to see the value of what they do, handling all these sales resistance. So for you guys, when you come in as a growth partner, you're effectively cleaning that entire process up for clients that you work with and kind of streamlining, installing a really world-class sales process. And then you have the talent to fill in any gaps that are there as far as the people is concerned, right?
Yeah, I'll just toss in for a sec. If you think of like a tunnel you're going through, a lot of people are focusing on the main path down the center when they're building their marketing and sales process. But when we onboard a client, we have a checklist, no surprise, but we have an order of things that we do before we even go live. And then when we go live, we have a post-go live checklist of additional things we continue to implement into the business that continues to have more of the satellite effects of like, these are still valuable things to do. I mean, these are duh to do. And these are like would be nices, but then a lot of people just keep focusing on the duh. So we have all these things that we implement. And then we have the third list is like a real fine-tooth comb optimization process. And that's what we do before we start to scale a company, because you don't scale, then optimize. We all know this. So we have like a 3-tiered process where it's like onboard to go live to add all these satellite things and that should be in there, but don't need to be in there just to take a sales call and get going. So we basically have like, how do you go live quickly without, there's a balance. And then there's a third checklist of like those acute things of little things that we do that I don't think anybody thinks to do that we do, because we have all these people on the team that can do these little items that the owners don't want to even bother with, these kind of creative projects, or like, I don't have time to sit down with iMovie for 2 hours. But if someone on the team does that for them, that could knock the show rate by 2%. And over the course of the year, that's a big difference just because someone put 2 hours in on an iMovie project, So I think that's kind of what I was picturing when you said that.
I like that. You even said a one-liner there, optimize before you scale. Right. That's a rider downer. Now we're nearing towards the end here. So I want to give you each just really an opportunity, just give me a rapid fire for each of you. What is like one, over the last, however many years you've been doing what you do, what's like the best advice you've gotten business-wise? What's like a business fundamental philosophy or principle that you adhere to this day that you may have heard forever ago? I'll give you a little moment to kind of think about it.
It came right to me, and that is keep going, never give up. If you believe in what you're doing, that's the most important thing. So there's been many, it is important to, let me just share this. It's like everybody's out there hustling, and now humans are competing with robots, and we're never going to outpace them. And so as a human, we have to now get smart, and we can keep going, but we can keep grinding, but there's no way we're going to keep up with technology. So I think what's really shifting right now is be persistent, but like, don't burn yourself out, because there's other people that have a genius zone that energizes them. And there's technology or solutions that can be installed to just take that off your plate. I would just say like, keep going, but don't burn out. Like keep going by providing jobs, installing solutions, getting consulting, these elements. And that's the secret to being able to grow, because I've already tried the work 14 hours, but I'm in my mid-30s now, and that doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, work on the smart.
Doesn't work anymore.
Issa, what about you?
I want to put it in one sentence, but let me just explain it briefly, and then I'm going to give it to you in one sentence. So it's just a thing I believe in. I would advise anybody who's wanting to partner with a business, who's wanting to partner with a person, to help them either start their own success journey or even scale whatever journey they're on. I would say always find the people who are passionate about what they do. So with that being said, the one thing I want to say in a couple of words is follow your passion. This means, to me, I would rather find somebody who's enjoying what they do and I'm going to work with over any other person who isn't enjoying what they do. So for me, when I wake up on a Monday, it feels like a Saturday. It feels like a Sunday to me because I get to do this and I enjoy it and I love it and I put my heart and soul into it. And it doesn't matter how many hours a day I'm putting in, every second in Iconic Solutions and Approve My Funding, to me, I'm on vacation. So when you go up to Iconic Solutions, you will be speaking to somebody who's in the mindset of, I'm on vacation. So what do you expect from that person? Headaches, pain, no results? You will expect the opposite. Success, faith, integrity, enjoyment. So follow your passion and you will be doing the best thing in the world.
I think about, even if I'm going to wrap that up, it's like you want missionaries, not mercenaries. And it's ultimately the person who enjoys walking is going to walk further than the person who's trying to reach the destination. Man, you guys have been an absolute joy, where I'm definitely going to have you guys back. Last thing, how's somebody going to find you? How can they get in touch with you? What's the best way for those who are listening, who are interested in the growth partnership, after kind of hearing what you guys do? What's the best way for them to even begin that process of discovering if you guys are a good fit for one another?
Well, if it's meant to be, you'll find your way. You'll find your way home. No, we'll find you. No, so iconicsolutions.ai. So iconicsolutions.ai is our website. There's probably at least 10 or so case studies there, kind of an overview of some of the solutions and philosophies. And then there's a call button, application form, etc. So we love to hear from people anyways. If if somebody's not sure if we're a fit, we're happy to read the application. So it shouldn't be like, oh, these guys are too picky. We're happy to read an application. It's like, I took a company that ended up getting an offer with an incubator. And, when we applied, we're like, yeah, there's no way they're going to, but then they reached out. They're like, hey, we're interested. So you just never know. So you might as well just say hello, because even if we don't work together, there's probably some collaboration or something that's available. Maybe you just need one solution over here. We can grow together over time. It doesn't have to be like augment your whole company, and then it doesn't have to be like that. We can look at where somebody is. So
we'll include that in the show notes, iconicsolutions.ai. And I know, Jonah, you said you had a PDF, some type of playbook that if they wanted, what was the playbook that you wanted to share with the audience?
Oh yeah, so we have maybe next time we can go into more details. So one of the solutions and one of the partners with Iconic is Approve My Funding, and that's our own finance platform helping your prospective clients get the capital they need. And we've had our experience with multiple different finance platforms, and just there was always some lack that just like, oh, it's all good over here, but never mind this factor over here. And it's like, yeah, but you can't just. So anyways, we built our own platform. And so there's a PDF that we built. It's called The 3 Ways That We Overcome the Money Objection. And so that PDF is available on the approvemyfunding.com website. If you go to approvemyfunding.com/Iggy or approvemyfunding.com/boardroom, they'll be able to download the PDF, and there's some case studies and things they could reach out to us to that
awesome.
too. But
talk about a cliffhanger. We'll have to bring you back to discuss Approve My Funding. So that's a great way for us to just kind of leave them hooked into the next time I bring you guys back. So if you're interested in learning more about that, you definitely need if you got the email to watch this episode or you saw it on social media, just comment Approve My Funding if you want to get them back to talk about what that funding solution looks like. So guys, thank you so much for jumping on. It was an absolute pleasure. So for those guys who are listening, definitely check them out. Links are going to be in the show notes to learn more about their partnership program, iconicsolutions.ai. And if you want the 3 money objection playbook, that will also be in the show notes as well. So thank you guys for being on with me. For those that are listening, like, comment, subscribe. Till next time, stay calm, change lives, and have business on your terms.